Who makes the best lug sole mock toe boot right now? Is it Truman with its higher end offering in the Grizzly Tan Work Moc, or the try and true Red Wing Roughneck in Briar Oil Slick? In this episode of Boot Rivals, we're putting them head to head to see if the Roughneck has truly stood the test of time, or if Truman is starting to cement its place in the work boot world. Before the matchup, let's go to the tail of the tape. The Roughneck's roots go back almost 50 years when Red Wing released the 475 in a similar colorway to today's 8146 Briar Oil Slick. At that time, lug soles paired with mock toe uppers had only been around for about a decade. It wasn't until 1977 that Red Wing dropped a 6-inch boot with lug soles, setting the stage for what we now know as the Roughneck. Truman, on the other hand, is a challenger here simply because of youth alone. Founded in 2014, their mission has been to keep American boot making alive, boots made in the USA, almost entirely in the USA. Their Work Moc boot only launched a few months ago. While Truman has built mock toes and other makeups for years, this one was designed with a different motivation: flexibility, economics, and eventually scale of production. Let's get to the matchup. Round 1 is style. Red Wing is synonymous with the mock toe design, an unmistakable quality. The Roughneck in particular shares the same classic silhouette as its ever-popular 875 brethren, but in a burgundy brown leather color. Rugged, simple, no frills. The luggy outsole adds bite, but compared to the Truman's, it's still a very straightforward package. Honestly, it's an unfair matchup because what Truman is known for is aesthetics. Their following was built on unique small batch leathers the company routinely releases, alongside heritage staples like wax flesh that Red Wing doesn't fully embrace. A true Truman devotee rarely stops at one pair, or two, or five. You're talking double digits. Every limited release, a spattering of made-to-order uplands, and now the Work Moc. With exotic leathers, stacked leather heel, and antique brass hardware, Truman brings a boldness to a boot fight where Red Wing sticks with tradition. This round, no contest. Style goes to Truman. It's 1-0 in favor of the Work Mocs. Round 2, fit and sizing. It's incredibly important to make sure your boots fit. A boot that's too large means heel slip, flex points digging to the top of your foot, and a gait that just feels off. As if it weren't hard enough, every brand has different lasts and sizing conventions, and sometimes even different fits within the same brand and the same last. Truman takes his complexity to another level. Vince, the owner and founder, moves fast, and not that long ago he completely overhauled every last the company had, renaming them casual, formal, and work. The casual and formal are close enough to their predecessors, the 56 and 79, that most people won't notice a major difference. But the work last, which replaced the 20 last, is a different animal entirely. That sudden change has left a lot of people second-guessing their size. The new work last runs large, maybe half a size or a full size larger than your traditional boot size. Red Wing, on the other hand, makes things simple. They've got in-person stores across the country where you can get measured and try on a pair before you buy. Their sizes run consistent, and being a larger company, it also means more sizes in stock online and retailers nationwide. Where with the Trumans, the devout line up to buy out the more common sizes within days of its release, leaving it impossible to experiment with multiple sizes in an order should you be around size 9, let's say. For accessibility and peace of mind, Red Wing takes this round. The score evens up. It's 1-1. Round 3, construction. From a layman's point of view, these boots can be considered almost the same thing. Mock toe design, 6-inch tall boots, lug outsole, rubber midsole, Goodyear welt, leather insole, cork filling, leather uppers, gusseted tongues. The blueprint is nearly identical. So where do the differences start to show? First, the clicking. From my own experience, my Trumans have superior hides and a cleaner leather grain break compared to my Red Wings. Take my 875s over on the right-hand side of the screen. The aprons crease completely differently. Same story for my 8877s behind them. And oddly enough, it's always the left boot that suffers the most. Then there's the quality of life. Truman makes it easy to wear their boots. A thick pull tab, a set of speed hooks. When I'm half awake in the morning, those little details honestly make me reach for the Trumans instead of the Red Wings. It doesn't stop there. The last is a tad more anatomical, especially towards your outer foot, your pinky joint. The form leather heel counter offered by Truman will be much more superior than the leatherboard counter in the Roughnecks in the long run. And above the heel is a more dramatic cut-in towards your ankle and lower leg, helping with a better locked-in feel. And finally, from a pure aesthetics angle, Truman's heel panel, well-designed, it gives the boot more dimension and shape. It's subtle, but it makes the boot feel much more substantial. In this round, Truman's attention to materials, usability, and finishing details outclasses Roughnecks. Construction goes to Truman. The score is 2-1. Work Mocs. Round 4, materials, leather specifically. I know there are fans of Briar Oil Slick, but having owned 3 pairs of Roughnecks over the years, plus a 2906 lineman in the same leather, I've been consistently disappointed with how it ages. As it stretches, the surface takes on a strange texture, The grain feels disconnected from the rest of the flesh, papery on the outside, spongy underneath, especially across the vamp near the mock seam. The Truman Work Moc in Grizzly Tan is the complete opposite. This leather, developed by Seidel and modified by Vince, clocks in at 7.5 ounces, about 30% thicker than the Red Wings. Yet despite that heft, it's soft and supple in hand. Pick it up, and your senses almost can't reconcile the thickness with how smooth and matte it feels. And while it's soft, it still holds its structure beautifully. You might think the lighter color would fall apart in the work environment, but I've got a pair of plain-toed Trumans in the same leather. Sure, it's a little vulnerable to oils, but the tan holds its color over time, and the creasing, holy smokes, there's barely any. It's remarkable. The verdict is clear. The Truman's Grizzly Tan outclasses the Red Wing Briar Oil Slick in every way. Round 4 goes to Truman, and the Work Moc extends their lead to 3-1. It looks like the Trumans have already won, based on the scorecard already, but the last round is perhaps the deciding factor for the majority of boot folks. The value proposition. The lack of affordability can mean more than the score, and we need to talk about if the obvious price difference can be overcome by the Trumans. Round 5. Value. We knew we had to tackle this eventually. The price difference. There's no getting around it. Price matters to most people. Truman Work Mocs run $390 compared to $330 for the Red Wing Roughnecks. That's a $60 difference. The question is everything we talked about worth that extra $60? Can a buyer justify paying roughly 20% more? Because if they can't, the matchup ends right now. What we're weighing here is Red Wing's availability of sizes, local stock, ease of returns and exchanges, and sizing and fitting in person against Truman's materials and construction. The Red Wing part of the equation are practical conveniences, but those conveniences exist only just for a moment in time, just before you buy the boots. The Truman qualities are for the life of the boots themselves. Let's talk numbers. How long do you think you'll wear your work boots for? 1 year? 2 years? More? I think the answer is more, because these boots are tough as the Red Wings. But regardless, in a year, there are around 260 working days, and if you divide that $60 difference into that number, that's just 23 cents per day. For 2 years worth of work, it's 12 cents per day. So for less than a quarter, for less than 12 cents per day, you get to put your boots on faster, you have a more anatomical last, a locked-in heel, a more attractive heel stack, thicker and more supple leather uppers. And for all of those reasons, the Work Moc takes the value round. The score is 4-1. That means Trumans take the bout. The Work Moc isn't just a boot, it's a statement. It says you recognize quality and style. The superior leather, the thoughtful construction, and aesthetic details elevated above the mass-produced classic. Red Wing Roughnecks still hold their place as reliable, iconic work boots. But in this head-to-head, the Work Mocs take the win. If you enjoyed this showdown, hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode of Boot Rivals, where we continue comparing heritage boots and see which one truly comes out on top.